Chapter 6 Mughal Empire Golden Age and Downfall Part 1. Chapter 6 Mughal Empire Golden Age and Downfall. Jalu family went on a tour to Delhi. Palak gave the album of snaps taken during the tour to her class teacher. Now, what happened? This Jalu family went to a tour on Delhi, and a Palak girl named Palak from this family gave an album of pictures taken during her tour to her class teacher. He showed it to the student. One question was written under each picture. Looking at one of the pictures, student asked the teacher a question. Why is this lady in the picture pulling the chain of the bell? The teacher answered that this picture gives a glimpse of the system of justice during Jahangir's period. We will get information about the different Mughal rulers today. Now, when she gave this picture diary to the class teacher, that class teacher showed it to the student, and then student, and under each picture there was one question written. So student asked the teacher why this lady is pulling a chain of a bell. So teacher answered to that saying that picture gives a glimpse. Picture shows the system, makes us understand. Glimpse means what? Makes us understand the system of justice that used to be prevalent under Jahangir's period. And she also said that today we will be studying about different Mughal rulers in the class. See, this was the question, why this woman is pulling the chain of this bell, and the picture depicts, gives the glimpse of understanding that the love for the justice of Jahangir. Okay, let's move ahead. After the death of the Akbar, the most powerful and influential ruler of a Mughal dynasty, Jahangir ascended the throne of Delhi. So after the death of the Akbar, Jahangir became the king, and he sat on the throne of the Delhi. The Mughal kingdom was extended far and wide during this period. Mughal kingdom became huge, and it spread its kingdom to a large area in this period. There was peace in the state. After him, during Shah Jahan's regime, many monuments were built. Many of these were world famous monuments of unparalleled magnificence. After Jahangir, when Shah Jahan became the king, sat on the throne of the Delhi, he became the king. He built many monuments, and these monuments are so famous, they are world famous, and they have unparalleled magnificence. Unparalleled magnificence means nobody can match the beauty, the hugeness, and the number of money invested in building these monuments. During his regime, the Mughal dynasty was established. Later on, during Aurangzeb's rule, the empire extended, but it led to the fall of the empire too. Now, during during Jahangir's period, the Mughal dynasty was having lot of peace, security, and it was growing. During Aurangzeb's period also, the Mughal dynasty grew, but it all during Aurangzeb's time it also happened that there was a fall. That means Mughal dynasty was no more showing its efficiency, and people were not liking the rule of Mughals. Let us learn about some major incidents that occurred during Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb's period. So we'll study about three rulers, major and important rulers of Mughal dynasty, that is Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. First, Jahangir. In 1605 to 1627, it was a period of Jahangir. After the demise of Akbar, his son Salim assumed the name of Jahangir, conqueror of the world, and ascended the throne in 1605 CE. So what happened? After the death of Akbar, his son Salim changed his name and named himself Jahangir. Jahangir means what? Conqueror. The name is conqueror of the world, and he ascended the throne. He became the king of Mughal Sultanate in 1605 Common Era. Prince Khusro revolted against him, and so Jahangir imprisoned him. Now, Prince Khusro revolted against him. His own son revolted against him, and so he imprisoned him. And Jahangir accused Sikh Guru Arjan Singh of helping Khusro, and so sentenced him to death. And Jahangir accused, he thought that Sikh Guru Arjan Singh has provoked him, instigated him to go against him. So then Sikh Guru Arjan Singh was sentenced to the death by Jahangir. During Jahangir's reign, Hawking and Thomas Roe visited India as a representative of the King of England and sought permission to trade in India. So in the Jahangir's regime, two people, Hawking and Thomas Roe, visited the India. They were the representatives of the King of England, and they sought the permission of trade in India. They wanted a permission to do trading, to do business in India. Jahangir's wife Noor Jahan was very beautiful and ambitious. Most of the administrative work of the empire was handled by her. His wife name and her name is Noor Jahan. She was very beautiful and ambitious, and most of the administrative work and decisions of the empire was taken and was handled by her. Next, we'll move to Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan had a rule from 1626 to 1658. Shah Jahan believed that agriculture is the fundamental to the prosperity of a nation. So he gave a prime importance to agriculture and continued with Akbar's land revenue system. He appointed honest and hardworking soldiers. Shah Jahan firmly believed that agriculture is a fundamental, is a basic requirement and is the basis of prosperity of a nation. So he gave importance to agriculture, and his land revenue systems were the same that was of Akbar. That means the land and the quality of land and the production that land will give, on those basis revenue will be collected. So he continued with that land revenue system, and he also appointed honest and hardworking officers. Shah Jahan established a new city near Delhi and named it Shah Jahanabad. He constructed many grand buildings there. So he constructed a new city near Delhi and he named that city behind him Shah Jahanabad, and he built grand buildings over there. In comparison to others, the Mughal emperor's income and revenue was more during Shah Jahan's reign. So compared to the other Mughal emperors, the land revenue that was collected during his tenure was more compared to others. Shah Jahan constructed world famous monuments like Taj Mahal, Diwan-e-Am, Diwan-e-Khas in the Red Fort, Rang Mahal, Moti Masjid, Jama Masjid of Delhi, etc. So he was the man behind the great monuments that we have in India, which has an international standing, that those monuments are world famous, and the name of those monuments are Taj Mahal, Diwan-e-Am, Diwan-e-Khas in Red Fort, Rang Mahal, Moti Masjid, Jama Masjid of Delhi. These are the world famous monuments which we got because of him. Moving ahead, Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb's memory was extraordinarily sharp. He was well versed in Arabic and Persian language and had studied Quran-e-Sharif in detail. So he was very sharp chap. Aurangzeb was having a very sharp memory, बहुत होशियार थे वो, and he was well versed. Well versed means he had learned Arabic and Persian language in detail, and he had read Quran-e-Sharif in detail. Aurangzeb disliked art, music and painting. Where Shah Jahan was in love with it, Aurangzeb was not in love with it. He used to dislike music, art and painting. Veer Guru Das waged a prolonged war with Aurangzeb for 25 years in order to free Marwar. Now Veer Guru Das has been in war with him for not 1 year, 2 years, but for 25 years to free Marwar. Aurangzeb also fought against the Shia states of not Shahi, sorry, Shia state of Bijapur and Golconda in south for 25 years. So it was not only with Veer Guru Das that he had a prolonged war for 25 years, he also fought against the Shia states of Bijapur and Golconda in south for 25 years. In Maharashtra, Shivaji established the Maratha kingdom in southern South India and had constant conflict with Aurangzeb. In Maharashtra also, Sri Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Ji, he has extended his kingdom in south, and he was also having a constant conflict with Aurangzeb. The Jats and Sikh too revolted against Aurangzeb. So in Jats, Sikhs, Marathas, Marwar, all were in conflict with Aurangzeb. So in his tenure, he had lot of conflict with lot of kingdoms and lot of people, and he was considered to be one of the cruel, not cruel, but he was not considered to be a very good human being. Moving ahead, after knowing about some of the incidents that occurred during the rule of Mughal Empire emperors Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb, now let us learn about the social life and administration. So this is how the Aurangzeb, Shah Jahan and Jahangir were. So if I tell you to write the short note about Jahangir, about Shah Jahan and about Aurangzeb, then all these points that have been mentioned over here need to be written by you in detail. Giving one or two things or writing one or two things will not be helpful for you to fetch the marks. Okay, moving ahead. Social life. The society was based on the feudal system during the Mughal era. The king and his courtiers led a life of pleasure and luxury. We have already studied and understood what do we mean by feudal system, okay, in the earlier chapter. And this says that the king and the courtiers of during the Mughal Empire, they lead very pleasurous and luxurious life. The emperors and the amirs were fond of expensive clothes and jewelry. Abu Faisal has written that about 1000 expensive garments used to be made for the emperor every year. So see the pleasure and luxury that they were enjoying in terms of clothes and jewelry, that every year the emperor would have more than 1000 expensive garments. During this time, the Gujarati traders conducted a business on a large scale, and a large volume of goods were imported and exported from the ports of Gujarat. So, Gujarat and Gujarati people, they did a business at a very large scale, and lot of products were taken and given, imported and exported from the ports of Gujarat. Festivals were celebrated with lot of pomp and grandeur. Pomp and grandeur means with lot of fun, lot of enjoyment, and at a grand level. Lot of money is being used for this celebration of the festival. During Jahangir's reign, the Dussehra was celebrated in a grand manner. Foreigners did not have the right to take away wealth from India. So during his regime, the Dussehra was celebrated at a very grand level, and foreigners were not allowed to take money from India. Economic condition. We know about the economic condition prevalent during the Mughal era from the Abu Fazl's book. So if you want to understand how was the economic condition of the India during the Mughal period, we would get the data and understanding from the book written by Abu Fazl. At that time, 55.5 ratal was equal to one man. Now 55.5 ratal means it's a old unit of weight. Okay, shawls from Lahore, daris from Fatehpur Sikri, cotton cloth from Gujarat and Dhaka muslin were very famous and popular products. Goods were exported and imported from Khambat, Surat, Bharuch and many ports of Bengal. Villages were self-reliant at that time. Villagers themselves produced most of the goods that they required. So the way we have this kilogram, gram, centimeter and meters, these are the units of measurement. In the same way, 55.5 ratal is also an old unit of measuring. Okay, measurement of the weight. The way we have these units of measurement, it was an old unit of measurement. Okay, and then they say the shawls from Lahore, the daris from Fatehpur Sikri and the cotton cloth from Gujarat, Dhaka muslin were the famous popular products. Goods were imported from the cities, from the important ports like of Khambad, Surat, Bharuch, and ports of Bengal. Now the villages were very self-reliant. Self-reliant means they were able to earn money for themselves through their own businesses. So villages themselves produce most of the goods that they required. They were not dependent on any other person or on any other country or any other village to give themselves those things which they required on a daily basis. So this way they were very self-reliant in nature.